So she told me this almost like a confession. I set boundaries, she said to me. I really did. And then I broke it. So let me sort of set the tone for you, right? It was a Friday night. This OBM had already logged off. Dinner was on the table. The kids were waiting. And then her phone lit up. Slack message, then another. And she stared at it for quite some time, long enough to actually know what she should do and exactly what she was going to do anyways. So she answered, right? And by Sunday night, she was resentful. She was resentful at the client, she was resentful at herself, and she was really resentful at the business that she was trying so hard to build, quote unquote, the right way. And when she shared this story in one of her hot seat coaching calls, she said to me, I don't get it. I know better. Why can't I hold my boundaries? And I remember thinking to myself, this really isn't a boundaries problem per se. This is a capacity and structure problem. And if you've ever wondered why your boundaries only work on good weeks, this episode is for you. Hey, and welcome back to the OBM Show. I'm Sarah Noked, and this is the place where we talk about what it actually looks like to build and lead a sustainable online business management business, not just on paper, but in real life. Here, we talk about the parts of the work that don't always make it into the highlight reel, right? That messy middle, the blurry notes, the leadership decisions you're making quietly, often without much support. So whether you are transitioning from corporate, moving from virtual assistant work into the online business management role, or already working with clients and trying to do this more intentionally, you, my friend, are in the right place. So we hear this all the time, right? Especially in the online space, things like, I just need to be better at boundaries. I just need to stop people pleasing. I just need to be firmer, and so on and so forth. And listen, I get it, right? I get it. I get why that feels true, because when you are the one replying to messages, staying up late, saying yes, it looks like a self-control issue. But here's what we actually see inside of OBM school across hundreds of students at different stages. The OBMs who struggle most with boundaries are not careless. They're not unprofessional. They're certainly not weak. They are simply overloaded. They've built roles where everything technically belongs to them. So when something pops up, whether it be a decision, a question, a fire per se, it doesn't feel optional. It feels irresponsible not to respond, right? And if you're nodding your head along with me, right? It's an important distinction, right? Because when your role design makes you the default owner of everything, boundaries don't feel like leadership. And that's such an important thing. They feel like abandonment, right? No amount of mindset work is going to make that sit right. So one OBM said to me, I don't want to be that OBM, right? The one who's hard to reach. And I know exactly what she meant when she said that, because she comes from corporate. She's very high performing, C-level, reliable, all that good stuff. The kind of person who got promoted because she handled things without making noise, right? So her identity was really built on being the calm one, right? The capable one, maybe, the person people trusted when things went sideways. And I know a lot of us can relate to this. I myself, I'm like feeling this inside, right? So when she moved into OBM work, that identity came along with her, right? She told clients that she was available during business hours, but her actions quietly trained them otherwise. Because when something broke, she fixed it immediately. When someone panicked, she jumped in right away. When a decision stalled, she made it easier by just handling it herself. And over time, she wasn't just managing operations, she was absorbing the anxiety of everybody, right? And she said to me, I feel like if I don't respond, the whole thing will just wobble and fall off kilter. And that, my friends, is a trap, right? Because once your nervous system believes the business depends on your constant availability and attention, boundaries feel unsafe. And no boundary script in the world, my friends, is going to fix that. So here's the truth that we don't always say out loud enough. You can sell all the boundaries you want, but if your workload exceeds your capacity, you will break them every single time, right? Not because you're weak, not because you lack discipline, but because humans cannot sustainably say no to work that feels mission critical. Capacity is what makes boundaries sustainable, and capacity is designed, not enforced. And this is why so many OBMs feel like they are constantly failing themselves, right? I see this all the time. They're trying to hold those boundaries inside systems that maybe were never built to support them. So the boundary holds, right, until the next launch or until the next hire or until your client has some, bright, shiny object idea that spirals. And then it snaps, not because you didn't care enough, but because the structure itself couldn't carry the load. And this is where I see a lot of OBMs who come from amazing corporate backgrounds and amazing corporate experience can actually really trip the OBM up, right? I see this all the time. So if you have a former project manager, maybe they have some operations director experience, chief of staff kind of thing. Those people in corporate who were praised for being dependable, responsible, and able to just handle it. So in corporate, there are teams, there are backups, there's shared ownership, there's built-in escalation paths. In online business, if you don't define ownership, my friends, it just defaults to you. So OBMs come in, they take their responsibilities seriously, and then accidentally become the bottleneck. We inside of OBM school have watched incredibly seasoned leaders start questioning themselves. And it's really not because they lost skill, but because they went from leading inside structure to leading without it. So they're still leading, but they don't have that protection. And that gap is bloody exhausting. Okay. So let me tell you what happens after this clicks, right? So another OBM came to us completely convinced she just needed to get it together, right? Or to get tougher. She had those color coordinated calendars, boundary scripts, right? Saved in her notes apps, auto responders ready to go. And she was still working nights, right? And when we looked at her role, the problem was so obvious, right? Because again, my friends, sometimes you can't see the label from outside the bottle, but she was owning everything. Team questions, client decisions, launch execution, tech issues, random quick questions. Everything, every single thing routed to her. So together, we worked on redesigning her capacity. We clarified what decisions belonged to her and which ones didn't, right? And we built some escalation routes and rules. We gave her containers that ended instead of running forever. And you know what surprised her the most? She didn't have to enforce boundaries. They started holding on their own because the work no longer required constant access to her, and that was the difference. So what actually makes boundaries stick? So really and truly, sustainable boundaries don't come from saying no louder, right? They come from designing roles where fewer things require a yes. I know I'm laughing. It seems so simple, but it can look as simple as defining ownership lanes, right? Who owns what and who doesn't own what. Clear escalation routes. What actually counts as urgent. Decision authority, not just task lists, right? And containers that reset instead of running forever. When these things are in place, something interesting happens. The clients stop pushing. And it's not because you became scarier. My friends, we know that's not going to happen, but because the systems answered first. right? The work has edges, the decisions have homes, and you, my OBM friend, are no longer the one holding it all together, right? And that is what leadership with structure actually feels like and looks like. So if you're a business owner listening and you're thinking, I don't want my OBM burning out either, that's exactly why structure matters, right? Working with an accredited OBM means you're partnering with someone trained to build sustainable operations, not just hold things together. And you can explore the accredited OBM directory or get matched at obmschool.com/matchmaking. Now, if this episode hit a nerve, right, let it. Boundaries don't fail because you're weak. They fail because the system asks too much of you. So burnout prevention isn't about trying harder. It's just about building a little bit smarter. So you can find tons of trainings and free resources designed specifically to help you protect your capacity at obmschool.com/resources. And if you're curious about working more closely with us through training, community, or professional development as an OBM, I would love for you to explore your options at obmschool.com/programs. And if you are really ready and you want to learn more about what it looks like to step fully into the OBM role with confidence and clarity, you can explore our certification program, the OBM accreditation, at obmaccreditation.com. It is completely free to apply and enrollment is currently open for our upcoming cohort. So if you've been circling this for a while and you're ready to get the details, head over there or book a call with our team to talk it through and see if it's a right fit. All the details are there. However you found this episode, I'm really glad that you're here. These conversations exist to help you build a business that actually supports your life instead of the other way around. I will see you in the next one.